Freedom, man. That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
Welcome, one and all. You're watching What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Ladies and gentlemen, government is slavery. Always has been, is now, always will be. And here on What on Earth is Happening, we are ending slavery one mind at a time. Welcome and thank you for tuning in today. Today is Sunday, June 4th, 2023. We have a great show lined up for you here today. This is episode number 275 of What on Earth is Happening. Today will be a call-in show for your questions and clarifications. And quite frankly, I have sort of an agenda for today's show. I would like to hear from callers into our Telegram call-in room. What are you or what have you been doing to advance the cause of human freedom by teaching objective morality and natural law to the public? How have you been doing that? How long have you been doing it? What are the challenges involved? How did you make the decision to get involved? And if not, if you haven't been doing that, what is the psychological fear factor that is holding you back from doing that? Is it a matter of fear of being out in the public? Is it a matter of not thinking that you know enough? Is it a matter of not understanding technology enough to do those things? For the actual how-to, the hands-on aspect of it? This is what I want to talk about today. And that's coming up on this edition of What on Earth is Happening, and I'll give all the information on how to call in a moment. Let me jump over to my slides and go through some housekeeping announcements, and then we'll get to your calls. All right. Thank you, as always, to Will Keller for both producing my show on the One Great Work Network and for the artwork that he provides for the title cards each week. So thank you for that. Again, this is episode number 275. This is the title card, questions and clarifications call-in show for today. We have 3 shows left in the season, including this one. So this show and 2 more. Next week, June 11th, and the following week, June 18th. June 18th will be the last show for this season. I'll start the show up again, probably with a full 3-hour program with, multiple cam angles and a producer, and I'll be sitting at a desk in my home studio starting in January of next year. So looking forward to doing that. Probably meet up with my producer several times. We'll run some tests and, just talk about the attack plan for the full show next year, going back to 3 hours and back to a full studio production. Again, this season I've been taking it light and just producing in my own chair here at my desk in my office because of my recent move to a new actual residence, and all of the associated time and energy that it took to do all of that. And that still isn't completely finished. I'm still putting in a lot of hard work every day to get things that need to get done here done. I have to move my books over from the storage where they're at right now and set up my home library to have my books shelved again instead of in boxes. So that's going to be a pretty colossal effort considering the size of my book collection. But I need to do that knowledge justice and get it back in a decent condition, and arrange it, categorize it, etc. That's going to be a pretty colossal task that's probably going to take me the better part of a week. So again, behind the scenes, I do things like that. I work on my research for my upcoming presentation. Still, that's in the works, obviously. Going to be delivered in October, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So let's go through some housekeeping before we get to your calls. Again, we're on a 2-hour format. That's going to change next year. We'll still stay on a 6-month schedule from January through June. We'll go back to 3 hours on Sunday, starting in January. The How to Become the True Media seminar for 2023 is going along well with enrollment. So I'd like to see even more people enroll. And I talked about this last night on the Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth podcast with James Cordner. We focused entirely on how to become the true media, how it came to be, what it entails, and why it's important. And I'll talk about some recent interviews. I'm going to be posting a slew of recent interviews that I've done, many of which are not quite released yet and not posted certainly in my website, but I'm going to be listing those in a moment. So how to become the true media, you can still enroll. You can enroll for exactly one more month, about 30 more days. We are going to cut enrollment off on July 4th. Today is June 4th, so you have exactly 1 month if you want to enroll in this fantastic seminar that's going to teach you everything you need to know about how to become the true media. If you don't know the mechanics, if you don't know the tech, this is the seminar that you need to take. If you're a Luddite, or what I like to call a Luddtard, then this is the seminar that you want. This is the seminar that you've been missing. Don't be a Luddtard. Learn the technology. It's not that difficult. It takes a little bit of a learning investment of time and attention and patience and persistence. Those things are required. However, if you are willing to make a decent investment of those currencies of the spirit, then you will get a reward on that investment, and you will understand how to disseminate the truth of what's really going on in our world, and how to disseminate the truth of objective morality and natural law. And that's what this seminar is designed to put those tools into your hands, to put that in your tool set, your tool belt, so that you have that at your disposal to utilize for the right purposes. So How to Become the True Media 2023 is an online technology skill sharing seminar. It is 23 weeks of 3-hour courses, one course a week for 3 hours for 23 weeks. This is hosted on the Telegram platform, the same platform that my call-ins are done through here on What on Earth is Happening. And this takes place every Monday evening from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. It starts Monday, July 10th, and it ends Monday, December 11th, 2023, for a total of 23 class sessions. There is limited space available in the seminar. Enrollment has been open since April 1st. It will close on midnight of July 4th, 2023. For more information on this awesome upcoming tech seminar, which is not just about technology, by the way, you can visit howtobecomthetruemedia.com. How to Become the True Media is not just about technology, ladies and gentlemen. I talked about this last night on the podcast that I was interviewed on with James Cordner, and I was explaining to people that this is a life skill technology. It's not just a computer skill technology. This is for people that not only don't understand technology and how to use it for the right purposes in the world to change our world for the better, but it is a seminar on life skills. It's a seminar about discipline. It's a seminar about self-betterment. It's a seminar about requirements for freedom and fulfilling those requirements, not ignoring them, not wishing that they magically are fulfilled like some pie-in-the-sky dreamer, right? And that's what many people are. Many people who are associates and even friends of mine. And many people that I've talked to, via email, via discussions, so many people simply believe this problem somehow of human slavery and immorality in our world is somehow going to just magically work itself out and correct itself through osmosis, through magical evolutionary processes. And this is part of the New Age bullshit mindset. It's a part of it. Whether you subscribe to the whole age New Age bullshit mindset, the whole of it, right? The whole thing, or you buy into it piecemeal. And this is one of the things I also want to talk about today. And again, we'll get to the calls when we get to the calls. If I want to rant a little, I'm going to rant a little bit, okay? I just see people all over the place who have not woken up all the way. They're half-assers. They're piecemeal. They think I'm just correct about a little bit of the things that I'm talking about here on What on Earth is Happening. And then other things, I have my head up my ass and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'm telling you, basically, here on What on Earth is Happening, if I speak it, I understand about it. If I don't understand anything about it, or I'm on the fence, I'm just going to tell you, I don't really know anything about that, or my, understanding of it is limited to a certain aspect, and I'll just keep my mouth closed and say, I don't really know. I'm not humble in what I know. If I know something, I've vetted it with the trivium process, and I know it definitively. And if I don't know it, and I haven't done that vetting process, I'm not going to pass information along regarding it because I simply don't know the truth of the matter. And that's called being a realist. That's not being some bullshit, fake-ass, humble ass that goes, I just don't know. I know that I just know nothing. And there's an infinite amount more to know, so I just got to say I don't know anything. That's bullshit. That's New Age bullshit is what it is. I know quite a bit about quite a bit, quite frankly. And I'm not going to be humble about what I know. I'm going to tell you if I know it. Because there is such a thing as the truth. The truth is discoverable. The truth is knowable. This isn't some magical fucking process that, is some wild-eyed dreamer's thing about, you can never really understand anything about anything. That's bullshit solipsism and New Age bullshit is what that is. And the people who subscribe to that in whole or in piecemeal, you guys are still under mind control, and that's the fucking problem. You haven't come out of it. So many people haven't come out of so much cultural mind control bullshit. There are so many little things that I hear people say, that I see them doing, the attitudes that I see them take, that you just immediately know, they bought into that aspect of mind control. They haven't fully come out of it. They have come out of a lot of other aspects of mind control, but then you see this one aspect and you're like, you bought that wholesale. You bit the bait like the big fish biting the hook, and you got reeled the fuck in. And that has to stop. That needs to go away. We are not going to make any inroads or strides to true freedom until people wake up all the fucking way. Not a quarter of the way, not halfway, not 75%, not 95%, 100% all the way. Wake the fuck up to the mind control techniques that are being used the fuck against you. And I'm telling you, not only do I see so many areas of people in the alleged freedom movement, the so-called truth movement and freedom movement, they're all buying into different aspects of this. Now, it's not like they're all completely asleep, but almost all of them aren't completely awake. And that's the fucking problem. That's the problem, folks, is that you're hearing what you want to hear. And then you're deciding based on your whims and preferences what you want to accept, instead of understanding the totality of what's really going on and the totality of the truth regarding different mind control techniques that have been waged upon you in psychological warfare. That's the problem. So if you want to learn how to help people undo these things. If you want to learn how to put the truth out there in front of people so that they can consider it, so they can take it into themselves, so they can learn and grow and evolve in consciousness, this is the seminar, How to Become the True Media. Wake all the way up. These life skills will help you to wake all the way up. See, I want to say that How to Become the True Media seminar is actually dharmic work. It's dharma. It's what you need to do. But it's also yoga, right? It is your work, which is your dharma. But in the Vedic concept, this is yoga. See, people think yoga is just a physical thing, right? It's physical exercise to help put the body in a certain condition, and yoga is infinitely so much more than that. It's how to learn what your work is to do. That's what yoga is supposed to physically prepare the body and mind for. That's the real purpose of yoga and yogic teaching and instruction. And this is a form of yoga, believe it or not. It is. You know, you may have a limited understanding of yogic practice, but this is a big part of it. This is teaching you the life skills and discipline that's going to be required for the dissemination of truth. If that isn't yogic practice, then I don't know what is, because that is going to prepare you and give you the means that you are going to be able to carry out your dharmic work. For people who have studied these, Indus Valley concepts that came out of the ancient wisdom traditions of that region, you will understand that what I am saying is the truth regarding those things. And How to Become the True Media is absolutely those things. It is more than a tech seminar. This is spiritual practice in a way, because while the solution is philosophical, it involves a technological component to disseminate that philosophy. And the evil losers of our who are the whores taking a paycheck for money and disseminating lies and propaganda and misinformation called the mainstream media, as Gerald Celente rightfully calls them, the prostitutes. They are doing this. They're doing their negative, evil, dharmic work. Okay? They've stepped into that role and they're doing it, and they're experts at doing it, and they're utilizing the technology for that purpose, and that's why we're getting our fucking asses kicked. And people still don't understand this. They hear it, they hear me harp on it every fucking week, and they still don't get it. And they still won't move themselves into the position where they're just simply accepting the responsibility to fucking do it. And I'm promising myself I'm not going to get really nuts. I'm going to exercise my discipline over my anger. I'm going to at least try to do it. I try to do this. Sometimes I fail at it. And I'm going to be harsh. But I'm going to try to keep it bottled to a certain extent where it's not just exploding and that's all it is. Visit howtobecomethetruemedia.com, read what the course entails, understand that these are life skill lessons. It's not just technology. It's teaching you persistence. It's teaching you patience, believe it or not, on how to keep doing something, even if you're failing at it at first, until you slowly build the discipline to get better at it. It's teaching you to hone your focus. It's teaching you to be truly present in the present moment and become the thing that you're doing instead of having scattered fucking thoughts, without being able to discipline your own thoughts and reel those in so that you could focus on the task at hand and do it. Learn something new, expand the mind, do something that you're uncomfortable doing. These are the requirements for achieving freedom for ourselves and future generations, ladies and gentlemen. And I feel embarrassed for you if you have not understood that yet. So if you are of the persuasion to want to push yourself and learn a little bit more and test your boundaries and understand the requirements for freedom and learn these life skill lessons, then visit How to Become the True Media and enroll in the course. And I guarantee your life is not going to be the same. You are going to learn things that you thought you never would have learned. And there's been tons of testimonials from people who have explained this to people. I think that this work that I'm doing with How to Become the True Media is as important or more important than everything that I've ever done with What on Earth is Happening. That's how important it is, because I'm helping to build other teachers through the conveyance of life skills and tech skills. And that's what's going to make new teachers of the truth. I'm not interested in having followers. I don't give a fuck who follows me. I want to build the most teachers that anybody's ever built in the history of humanity. That's what my work has always been. Since day one, since I started What on Earth is Happening podcast number 1, my goal in my mind that most people have no idea and did not understand ever is this is not for me, myself, to just wake up all of humanity. I was never that delusional. I was never that wishful thinking. Anybody that thinks that, you think I'm some kind of a naive dunce, and I'm not. I'm extremely attentive to what's going on in the world. I'm a deep student of human behavior and human psychology, and I know that people aren't going to take this information just from me. Even back then, when I'm wearing a mask and being super fucking polite because I'm introducing these concepts to people for the first time in most cases. Now, I'm infinitely more harsh and more of a bitter prick in quite frankly, in most cases, because I've said this shit a million times and people still aren't fucking paying attention. So the point that I'm making here is, if you understand that this is what's going to be the requirement toward the true achievement of freedom and the true elimination of tyranny and slavery in not only in our world right now, but for future generations of children. That's the thing that kills me and murders my heart. I said on the show Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth with James Cordner last night that I recently wept almost uncontrollably, where I had to really exercise discipline to reel in my sadness. I just wept thinking about the world that we're going to leave for children. I'm going to I will not break down now during my show. I could barely control my emotions regarding it because I'm really thinking what we're leaving to children in the future. And that is the most horrifying thing to my heart. I don't want that to happen on my watch. And I'm not saying this to guilt trip anybody. I'm saying this because this is what's happening. This is what we're leaving to the future because of our refusal to take the responsibility to meet the requirements to generate true freedom. And people still don't understand and still won't get out of their ego and their selfishness to do it. If you understand that that's what needs to be done, this is the seminar that you need to take. And I will help to impart those skills to you. And I will do my best, and I will be as patient as I can as a teacher, and I think I do that during How to Become the True Media. And you could ask former students if they felt that they got their values worth, and if I fulfilled those requirements as a teacher. Okay, so visit howtobecomthetruemedia.com and check out the whole course curriculum that's listed up there, and then you can, decide for yourself if you want to hit that enroll button and go ahead and make an investment in your future and the future of humanity. Because quite frankly, that's what it is. I'll be presenting a all-day presentation called Two Masks, Same Face, The Dark Occult Origins of Nazism and Communism. This is coming at you October 21st, 2023, all day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Exton Hotel and Conference Center in Exton, Pennsylvania. It is a $60 private donation to attend in person. Do not just send that. You have to go to gifts.whatonearthishappening.com, click on events, live events, and you can you could secure a private invite for this event for a private donation of $60. There is limited seating available. We are over the 1/3 point now, hovering between 1/3 and 1/2, somewhere in there, closer to 1/3 than a half, but moving closer to a half of the seats. So I've told people the seats will not last until like maybe a few weeks before the event. They're going to sell out before that. So do not wait to get your tickets or you will not be able to attend. That we have a limited seating capacity according to fire code for the building. So once that goes, that's it. We can't overbook this event. We can't invite people to this event. So check it out. It's this poster is up on whatonearthishappening.com's front page. You can click that. That'll take you right to the item on gifts. the gifts area of What on Earth is Happening, where you can make your donation to attend in person. This is not an online event. This is an in-person event where you can receive a private invitation to attend for a private donation through my gifts area of my website, not any other means, okay? You could get the instructions if you even want to do that by mail. I accept check and money order by mail as a donation, but it's all there right on the homepage of What on Earth is Happening. You click through that poster, that'll take you right to the item for a private invitation to Two Masks, Same Face. I'm going to hit people really hard with the information in this seminar, a lot of which they never will have heard or discovered, and I'm going to trace the connections of the origins of these alleged political parties, which they really are factions of a unified religion of dark occultism. And I'm going to trace both the people and the organizations, the occult groups and think tanks that led to the creation of Nazism and communism, and the actual occultists themselves who did that, and presenting that from a historical context and perspective, and helping people to understand that these imbalanced and extremist so-called political views are actually extensions of dark occult ideology. So that's what Two Masks, Same Face is going to be about. I think people are going to thoroughly enjoy it, and I think this is going to be one of my contributions to the great work, on the order of something like my Demystifying the Occult seminars or my What on Earth is Happening, my Natural Law seminar. So you're not going to want to miss this. October 21st, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Exton Hotel and Conference Center in Exton, Pennsylvania. Secure your private invite at whatonearthishappening.com. Tickets are available now. They will be there until they sell out. They will be available until we don't have any more invites to give out. So don't get locked out of it if you want to attend. Get your invite today. I'll be taking part in Freedom Under Natural Law Conference coming up on June 24th and 25th. I believe this is the third funnel 3, Freedom Under Natural Law 3 conference. And the theme this year is the Trivium. I'm going to be presenting, I've made the decision, I'm going to be presenting the true 7 deadly sins. That's going to be my presentation for funnel 3 this year. Coming up later this year, there is the Seed 5 conference, and that's going to be advertised shortly. And basically, I'm going to present there the critical role of technology regarding human freedom. So that's the tentative title. It's not locked in stone. I'll work out an actual title at some point, but that's what I'll be presenting there. For this conference, Funnel 3, I'm going to be talking about how we derive the 7 deadly sins from an understanding of the Trivium. And it's not complicated. It's actually quite simple. So that's going to be my presentation, The True 7 Deadly Sins. And again, this is June 24th and 25th. An absolute who's who of speakers on the event. You can read them there on the poster. And very much looking forward to it. If you want to learn more about this great event coming up, visit freedomundernaturallaw.com. Once again, the website, freedomundernaturallaw.com. Funnel 3, June 24th and 25th. Before I even get into One Great Work Network, let me talk about some of the one great work of others. And I just want to let people know I will be posting these recent interviews. I've held off on doing that in at least 1 or 2 cases that I think they're released, but other interviews will be released very shortly. So I was interviewed by Derek Brose when I was down in Perry, Georgia at the Georgia Libertarian Party Convention, where I spoke and delivered my Government is Slavery presentation. I'll be seeing how the audio came out for that and making an edit to release a video on that. That'll be in GIFs first and then released publicly. I'm going to publicly release this week my presentation that I gave at Anarchapulco back in February. It's going to be the Anarchy and the Occult Part 3 presentation, which is going to be released for free right now. That's exclusively available in my gifts area, but I'll be posting the video publicly this week. And the other things that I'll be posting the interview that I did with Derek Brose down in Perry, Georgia. Of course, Derek from One Great Work Network and the Conscious Resistance and the Greater Reset, not the Great Reset, the Greater Reset. I was interviewed on the War Mode podcast and with Billy and Andrew, and that is going to be released, if it's not already released, very soon. So I'll be posting that podcast. That went very well. And I was also interviewed by Max Lowen of Unbroken. That'll be released shortly. I'll be posting that once it's released. Crypt Rick interviewed me on his show a few days back. So that interview will be forthcoming shortly. I was on the Free Thought Project this week, and that was an awesome interview. Jason and the other host, his name's slipping my mind right now, I apologize, but Free Thought Project interviewed me, and that interview went very well. I mean, that was a really good one, and their work is top notch. So that interview, again, if it's not already released, will be forthcoming very shortly, and I'll post that one. And again, as I said earlier, I was interviewed on Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth with James Cordner last night, live. That went very well, and I was feeling a little under the weather, actually, it was a short form interview, a little over an hour, but the content of that interview, I'm very happy with what we discussed and what I got into. So you're not going to want to miss that one. And again, I'll be posting all of these on whatonearthishappening.com in the news section shortly. I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of interviews, more on the way, more coming. I am cutting off interviews until the end of the year just to prepare for my presentation. I have to do it. So I took this little bit of time in this window to do a bunch of interviews. No more interviews for this year. After I'm done next week, I think I have one or two next week. That's it. I have to focus on 2 masks. I have to politely say no to people. I can't accept all these interviews. I have to focus on the work for October 21st. Maybe around, I'm going to take a break after that, maybe in December. But I'm going to say probably January of 2024 for new interviews for me. I have to work on 2 masks, focus on making that the best that it can be, and focus on delivering that in October. And interviews can come later. More interviews can come later. I have to prioritize, and I have to conserve my energy for that. So it's just what it is. Please understand that. And, we could set up some more interviews with other people starting in January, when the new show format starts as well, which I'm actually, should all things go fairly decently and, the setup of all that go well and my life be moving in a halfway decent direction, I'd be looking forward to What on Earth is Happening next year. Sometimes I look at it like I don't really want to continue doing this, but I have to keep pushing this, putting the work out, telling people what I'm doing, getting them interested in how to become the true media and doing this work for themselves. The importance of that has to be stressed. Your action has to be stressed. If you're not taking action like that, you're part of the problem. Taking action like that is becoming part of the solution. And that's why I have to emphasize things like how to become the true media and One Great Work Network. So if you want to check out content creators who have stepped into the role of taking action in the world to put forward objective morality, the truth about what's happening in our world regarding human slavery, the immorality of government, mind control techniques that are waged against the population, and of course, natural law, you definitely want to visit One Great Work Network. Over 70 content creators of that persuasion on the network. We're going to be adding more shortly. And Please support these content creators. They need your support. They need your generosity so that they can continue and grow and advance their own work. So please donate to the great content creators on One Great Work Network if you are able to do so. OneGreatWorkNetwork.com is the website. Of course, we're simulcasting What on Earth is Happening here every Sunday, January through June. Definitely check it out. You won't be disappointed at the incredible content on OneGreatWorkNetwork.com. My band.video channel is up at band.video/channel/Mark-Passio. I'll keep advertising this through this season, and I am going to be adding to it. I have not gotten a chance to do that. I'm going to post my last natural law seminar video up there. After I do that, I am going to attempt, while How to Become the True Media is going, to at least put a little bit of exclusive content up there. Maybe we'll even talk about how to become the true media. Maybe I will put on band.video some students of how to become the true media. That sounds like a good idea. And I'm going to do this all in-house in a comfortable environment at night, right? It's going to be literally like a fireside chat, okay? And it'll take place in my library, with a person in person at my home during the evening, where we sit and have a talk and broadcast that talk. And that's what I'm going to be posting to band.video in the near future. It's not going to be in the immediate sense, maybe a couple months from now, a few months from now. We'll see how things go. But that's my plan for exclusive content on band.video. That's going to be distinct and separate from What on Earth is Happening content. All right, so that's coming. Please be patient. It will come to band.video. Don't Tread on Philly hosts its second Wednesday happy hour on the second Wednesday of every month. This is a social meetup for people concerned about the loss of human freedom. 6 to 9 p.m. on the second Wednesday of the month. So let's see, that's going to be coming up on Wednesday, June 14th. Second Wednesday falls on June 14th this year, and that's when the next DTOP happy hour is. This takes place 6 to 9 p.m. second Wednesday at The Dive. The Dive is a cool bar located in South Philadelphia in the Bella Vista section, 947 East Passyunk Avenue. This event is always free to attend. Always great people come out. We have awesome conversations, people network, and discuss everything freedom related. Check it out at don'ttreadonphilly.com or their Facebook page, Don't Tread on Philly. The Inquire and Inspire documentary movie nights is on the third Thursday of every month. Now, this month, I will not be able to attend Inquire and Inspire. I'm disappointed that I'm going to miss it, but I will be at PorkFest during that week. Or no, I'm sorry. That isn't true. I'm looking at the calendar. The third Thursday, since June 1st fell on a Thursday, the third Thursday is the day after the second Wednesday. So it is June 15th, so I will be attending. So that's great. I don't have to miss it. But I am also going to be going out to PorkFest from probably around the 21st through the 25th. So looking forward to attending PorkFest for the first time this year. Have never been to one. Really looking forward to going. Should be a fun time. And, I'm going to be hanging out with people there at their campsites and, hearing the conversations, participating in the conversations, and see what people are getting into out there at this year's PorkFest. Porcupine Festival, it's a big summer event, freedom-oriented in New Hampshire. I don't have all the official information, but I'm sure if you just search on any search engine and type P-O-R-C, Fest, as in porcupine, you'll get all the information that you need. So going back to my slides here, Inquire and Inspire documentary movie night, third Thursday of every month, 6 to 9 p.m. Free for everyone to attend. It takes place at Arnold's Family Fun Center in their theater room, which is in Oaks, Pennsylvania. For more information on this great documentary night, visit their website, inquireandinspire.com. You definitely want to check these out. They've been very successful, and it's always a fun evening at Arnold's Family Fun Center and educational. The What on Earth is Happening IPFS project is moving along. We will meet our goal of at least 5 nodes this year. Hopefully I'll be able to add 5 each year, at least at that pace. But we've gotten 4 up. Going to be still working on this. Again, I ask people to be patient. I have been really busy in the move and the organization of what I need to organize here to put my own life in order while I'm doing this work, which is it's no easy task. It's actually a tall task, and a lot of my time is consumed right now. It will open up, it will improve, it will get better, and I will get back to the IPFS project. So if you're interested in helping to host all of the material that I've ever done, that I've ever put out into the world, and helping to censorship proof it to the extent that we can, that's what the IPFS project is about. You do require a minimum of 200 megabits per second upstream bandwidth, meaning in the upload direction, not the download direction, the upload direction of your internet connection. If you have at least that, you would generally qualify, and then there are other requirements that you can get in a PDF document at whatonearthishappening.com/IPFS. So if you want to participate, you go there, you fill in the form, you get the PDF document, you read all the preliminary requirements and instructions, and then if you do want to proceed, then you can get in touch with me, and then we'll proceed together. That's how the official What on Earth is Happening IPFS nodes work. So check that out, whatonearthishappening.com/IPFS. You can call into the show today via Telegram for this call-in show and questions and clarifications show at whatonearthishappening.com/call. Once again, whatonearthishappening.com/call to join us for questions and clarifications. And specifically what I would like to get into is what has been your skin in the game. Have you put skin in the game? What has been your contribution to the one great work of ending human slavery? And if you haven't put skin in that game yet, what's holding you back from doing it? I'd like to get into that as the main topic of discussion in the call-in show here today. I'm not going to rule out questions for clarification purposes. If that's what you want to do, that's acceptable as well. But I would like to move it in the direction of what is your own contribution to the one great work. ARC 2.0 is available, and it will be available in perpetuity as long as I'm kicking and breathing. whatonearthishappening.com/ARC is the page where you can read about what the ARC is. It's basically a storage drive that you send to me. I fill it up with all the research data that I've collected over the years that has helped me to understand what's going on in the world and expand my worldview and my knowledge. And I put all of that material back on that drive for you. I copy it onto the drive and send it back to you. That's basically what the ARC is, and you could basically research for the rest of your natural existence without ever needing an internet connection, quite frankly. Okay, and you will wake all the way up if you take that knowledge into yourself. The ARC consists of over 26,000 audio files, over 9,500 books, and over 3,400 digital videos, all offline on a storage device that you provide, so that you don't even need an internet connection to explore all of that work. There are rigid shipping instructions to protect your property because people have done the most ridiculous, nonsensical things. And quite frankly, some people actually still do continue to do some wacky stuff sending the ARC drive that I asked them not to. I'd really like people to, just seriously take it seriously. This isn't some willy-nilly bullshit. This isn't like a joke. It's not a curiosity. This is the knowledge that is required to understand what's really happening in our world, and I've amassed it and done the work to organize it, collect it, organize it, download it offline, put it on a drive. That's a colossal effort in and of itself, and then to work with many people to disseminate that and ship it out to them, get it shipped out to them. I send ARCs out almost every single day. So please take the shipping instructions seriously. And again, the main reason they are rigid is to protect your own property. So it makes a nice, quick round trip from you to me, and then from me back to you. And the data's on there. That's all. That's why I'm putting the instructions for shipping that way and clarifying it through language to get people's understanding. This is what makes a problem in doing this. If you do it this way, there's no problem, and it's boom, 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 and you have the data. And I take it seriously. I don't screw around with people's property. When it comes into my house, I connect it to one of the computers where I have an ARC drive, and I copy the data, and I wrap it up, and I take it to the shipping office. I don't screw around. I don't fuck around with this. I stay on top of them, and you will get it back quickly if you are respectful and simply follow the shipping instructions that I've laid out for this process. It has to be a formal, quick, factory-style shipping format, because I can't dick around. I don't have the time to dick around with people doing this a million different ways and causing all kinds of problems that then I got to be on the phone with shipping companies to solve, right? Take it seriously. It's not that hard. If you can read the English language, this is easy, okay? So prove that you're not, if you are going to take me up on this offer, that you're not slow. Okay? Prove to me that you're on the ball and you're quick on the uptake and you understand the English language. That's all I ask. And then all of the research data that I've amassed over all this time is going to be available unto you offline without an internet connection, that you can just research it at your own leisure. I think that's a pretty good deal for just following a couple of pages of instructions in a document. Okay? So that's the ARC offer, whatonearthishappening.com/ARC. If you want to get hard copies of the information that I've put out in the form of presentations on DVD or flash drive, or if you want promotional items like men's t-shirts, women's t-shirts, also ancillary items like buttons, stickers, coasters, keychains, etc., or perhaps all of my work on one solid-state drive, the One Great Work Collection solid-state drive, you can visit gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. This is the gifts area of my website, and you can make a voluntary donation to receive a free gift. You know, the gift is sent to you. It's not, you're not paying for it. You're giving a donation to the cause, and I'm sending you guys a gift. So that's how gifts.whatonearthishappening works. This helps continue the work here at What on Earth is Happening and One Great Work Network. That's what this endeavor is for. It's a free interchange of voluntary donations, you know, in the form of resources, and then you can get a gift for your own education, the education of someone else if you want to give a flash drive or a DVD to them, and promotional items to help promote this work that I do here at What on Earth is Happening. So that's gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. If instead you'd prefer to make a straight donation to help the What on Earth is Happening and One Great Work Network causes, you can visit whatonearthishappening.com/donate. You can donate via technology wish list items. I do have one new item up there. It's something that is going to be required for the production of the show coming next season. There is the ability to donate through some electronic means such as Cash App, GPay, and Wise, and there are at least, I think there are exactly 9 cryptocurrencies that I accept on the donations page, the same ones that I accept on gifts, and then there is the ability to even send a check or money order via physical mail. So all of those donation methods are available at whatonearthishappening.com/donate. That's all the housekeeping announcements and rants that I have regarding those today. So let me jump over to our callers and see who is holding on the line. Give me a minute. I'm just going to clear my slides out here. And we have plenty of people holding. So let's go to Fred Gingras. Fred, member of One Great Work Network, and I'm going to be on his show coming up this week. Fred, you're live on... I'm sorry, I got to get my headphones on before I can talk to anybody. Give me a moment there. All right, Fred, you are live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome to the show. Fred, you are still muted on your end. Please unmute yourself, and then I'll be able to hear you. So will everyone. All right, Fred, you're still muted. I don't know if you're having audio difficulty. I'll come back to you, and we could talk about our upcoming interview if you want. Let's hear from Zachary. Zachary, you are live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome to the show. Please take note, everyone, if I unmute you and call upon you, you have to unmute yourself. I can't unmute your microphone. You have to hit the...
Hello.
There you go, Zach. How you doing?
Hi. Hey, Mark. So you want a society where people are more independent, but for the transition to occur to a society where people take responsibility for themselves, most people in advanced societies, technologically advanced societies, would not be able to make that transition. And as a result, there would be a mass die-off. Most people wouldn't be able to adapt. How do you account for that, and what are your opinions on that? I'm sure you've already thought about this.
So if that were to occur, which I don't necessarily agree is something that must occur, could something like that occur because people simply cannot bring their mind into what I call cosmic adulthood? Yes, that is possible. So why fear it? Why, if that were to be the way the human evolution has to progress, is that something that should be feared, or is that something that should actually be welcomed almost with open arms? Like if humanity doesn't do the things that does push it forward evolutionarily, do people actually deserve to prosper and or even survive? We are natural law is always functioning perfectly. This is the thing I have to keep going back to and re-emphasizing over and over and over again, right? The natural law of consequence is always and forever, in every single solitary millisecond, providing back to us exactly what we require and need to actually move forward evolutionarily. All of this slavery, all of this tyranny is actually, if we're conscious of why it's been generated, can actually drive humanity forward to a better place in consciousness. I know that it did for me, right? I had to experience the discomfort of understanding that my freedom is completely curtailed or crushed, to be angry enough and motivated enough to speak out against it and try to reverse that condition. If people don't perceive it, they're not conscious enough to perceive it. Look at what has happened to people who just accepted and weren't conscious of tyranny in the past. Were they not exterminated? Were they not recycled back into source? Right? First of all, the fear of death is where slavery starts. You have to not be worried about going back into the source consciousness. It's probably happened to all of us thousands of times. Okay? More likely than not, consciousness gets recycled in various multitudes of forms. Okay? That's how everything works when it comes to pure consciousness in this holographic projection of reality that is actually mind. It's actually universal mind. There is really nothing but consciousness, and this is actually a construct for learning and growth in consciousness. It really can't be any other thing from a baseline perspective of creation, because then you have to argue the point that something can magically be born out of nothing, right? If you believe the whole Big Bang theory that scientists tell people of, just give us this one miracle and then we'll explain everything that comes after, So the fear of death is what has to be purged. And if evolution demands a die-off of humanity, then so be it. But I don't think it does demand that. I think it demands attention, intelligence, care, courage, right action.
Yeah, but you and I both know that a very small percentage of the population has the capability to switch to what you're talking about.
I don't agree I do not agree that is their nature. That is their current condition. Is it possible with colossal effort to work a human being out of that condition? Have you never seen a fat, slovenly slob of a human being transform their body into chiseled muscle because of their willpower? Is that not possible?
What's the statistic on that?
It's rare. But if the person turns their will to it. It's rare because most people are in the condition, I can't do that. They're in the mental condition, that's not possible for me. This is the exact thing that I'm talking about. This is the exact dynamic that you're bringing up that I'm talking about. Learning technology and speaking publicly isn't for me. That's for Mark Passio. That's for David Icke. That's for Alex Jones. Why? We aren't magical creatures. We just turned our fucking will to something and did it. That's all. There is nothing magical about what I do. It's hard fucking work that I recognize this is required, and I said to the universe, yes, I will do that. That's all it is. We have to demystify it and stop looking at it as some innate quality that is somehow born into me that I possess naturally. It is not. It's a choice. It's a choice on how to behave in the world, and that's all that it ever is. We have to encourage and inspire other people to make that choice. And once they make the choice, hey, I'll give a pro wrestling example, right? Look, follow the career of a guy like Gunther, right? Who's the Intercontinental Champion in WWE. Look at what he looked like in the past. This guy made a radical transformation into like an athlete that people really, really fucking respect because of what he does in the ring, right? And again, yeah, wrestling is all scripted, you know. It's not quote unquote fake because these guys sustain real injuries for the acrobatics that they do to entertain the crowd. But it's like, look at the transformation of this guy compared to where he started. Yeah, and you could look at that in anything. You could look at somebody who trained to be a pro fighter or a wrestler or a car racer or somebody who just does their job really well. I mean, it could be something as mundane as somebody taking a job as a manager of a restaurant and just transforming the restaurant from something that really sucked and people didn't want to go and spend their money at to something that's prospering and people enjoy. It applies to everything in life. And again, that's why some people simply need teachers, people who are going to show the way for them, provide context for them, provide methodologies for them. That's the brainchild that How to Become the True Media is and developed into. I had this whole idea. I asked this very question, right? I had these very doubts. How do you conquer that then? You conquer it by becoming an educator for other individuals. And you work diligently and tirelessly to educate them in what they need to understand and help improve themselves. And if you have to, you gotta be a little bit harsh and be somewhat of a petty tyrant to people. You can't go easy on people because going easy on them lets them sit back and go, yeah, maybe I don't have to work real hard at doing this. Maybe I could just sit back and watch other people. And it's like, that's what Hollywood and the dark occult has trained us to do, is passively observe the world like a television show. This is not something that you passively observe. This requires your active participation. So the one thing I want to really try to instill in you, and I want to let you respond to this, is please do not fall into the trap of believing that's simply how other people are. It is not, from a truth-based perspective, simply how humanity is. That's being black-pilled. Right? And I'm trying to get people out of black-pilled consciousness. Black-pilled consciousness helps no one. It's incapable of helping anybody. Okay? It is not human nature. That's a truth statement. That's not a statement of opinion. That is not my opinion. The way that people currently are in the world is not the nature of human beings. It is the current condition of most human beings. And that has to be deeply, 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 deeply internally cognized from an intellectual perspective before you move any further in deciding how you're going to take action in the world. You have to understand this is all conditioning, not some of it, all of it. Unless the person is actually mentally retarded and has an actual mental retardation condition, which is the extreme rarity in our species and is far less than 1% of the population, okay? Right. That is a form of nature. So it's something that occurred, it happened to them, that is unfortunate nature of their bodily condition and mental condition, and it's a terrible thing. And I feel for people like that. However, so you're not going to work someone out of that condition, unfortunately. However, that is not the overwhelmingly mass percentage of human beings' nature. They are in a lowly condition, but if the strong help work upon the people who have allowed themselves to become weak and influence them and help them to improve themselves and set an example by which they can learn to improve themselves and become moral educators of the population, the great work can be accomplished. Is it going to be easy? If you think so, you're completely delusional. It is going to be the hardest thing that can ever be accomplished. This is the most difficult thing to do in the universe. This is the most difficult job in the entire universe. So
I'd be hearing people use.
Go ahead.
It's survival. Every human being is programmed. Our bodies want to survive. Because they've controlled all of the resources, they can push us in whatever direction they want because our survival is dependent on the system. So to get people to turn away from that, for whatever reason, we're in this condition where survival and growth are the two main values. A higher part of us wants growth. Growth is truth. It moves forward regardless of...
Yeah, but if we don't elevate to that higher level of consciousness and do that work, do you think there's long-term survival for the species? See, the idea that it's all survival-based is illusionary, because you could say you could be comfortable in short-term. It is, because you could say you could be comfortable in short-term survival, but that's not going to lead to any true long-term evolutionary growth and or survival. Neither one's going to be accomplished when you take the immediate satanic selfish position of I'm only interested in my survival and creature comforts in the moment. That's Satanism. And that is what people have been religiously inculcated through a process of indoctrination and mind control techniques to believe. See, I hear from people all the time. So many, and this is a great call, and your questions are awesome. And I think go deeper into the underlying causal factors to understand conditions versus nature, right? That's my recommendation. Go into that work. And I would really recommend epigenetics. To understand this, the thing that most people miss, they start with something as simple as like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which there is truth to that, but they miss epigenetics. They don't even understand that field at all. They don't even understand that that's a science, number one. And it's a very... Epigenetics.
Sorry, genes?
Epigenetics. Epi is a Greek prefix. EPI. Epi means to go beyond. Something that goes beyond something else. It surpasses it. It's higher than it. Okay? It actually is the causal factor for it, and it underlies the manifestation of the thing that is to come after. And then genetics is our gene expression and the understanding of why certain expressions of not only physical attributes, but then behaviors come out of this. So epigenetics is what the occult controllers have always understood from time immemorial, that the population simply doesn't understand. This is why, let me ask you this question. How many times have you ever heard the word epigenetics uttered in any mainstream media outlet, newspaper, magazine, anywhere? The word epigenetics, how many times have you ever heard it said publicly?
I mean, I'm familiar with the term, but I have not seen it in the news.
Ever. I could have 1 million callers call into the show. No one has ever heard the term epigenetics ever uttered in any mainstream outlet, and you never will. It is a forbidden word. The word epigenetics is a forbidden word on television, movies, newspapers, magazines that are published by the main publishing companies of our world, the mainstream media outlets. They will never utter the word. That is such a forbidden word that they don't even want you hearing the word ever, let alone understanding what it is and how it works. And that's what I find. Almost the entire human population is completely ignorant of how that dynamic works. And the occultists of our world know it inside and out, up and down, backward and forward, in every aspect that it can be understood. And that is the knowledge they are utilizing against us to keep our thoughts where they are at, versus evolving into a deeper understanding of how nature and reality really, really, really work. So, once again,
one last question.
Yes, sure. Move forward in your understanding of nature versus condition. And that will help you to understand what the work is, how it needs to be done, and how we need to resist all of these ideas of something cannot be done. You'll never hear me ever in all of my podcasts say the words, this cannot be done. I say it may be improbable, it may be unlikely based on the condition that we've been worked into, but it is possible. Even in the 11th hour, 59th minute, 59th second, and on into further fractions of a second. It's possible because it's a choice in the moment. It's a choice in the eternal now that people have to make for themselves, because they have to make the decision, I'm worth more than this. I'm not going to allow this. And let me tell you how quick the decision can be made. Here's the word, no. It could be made that quickly. That's the word of all power that reverses everything, that turns everything around, is that one lost word, that one lost vibratory syllable that most people will not say no to evil. So go ahead, I'll let you continue, finish up your thoughts.
I'll just finish up real quick. It's beautiful what you're saying. I really do believe, I came up with a term for it, compulsory retention. It's when people are compelled to hold on to narratives or instruments that are supposed to bring them to another goal. Like a guy has a bad boss. He can't quit because he has to pay rent and he has to do this and he has to do that. They have taken away the option for no. They have taken away the option to think critically and make decisions based off of your own and the group's actual best self-interest. For people who do wake up,
I understand that perception, right? They haven't taken it away. It's still there. I mean, they do. It's still there. Even if someone, they've mentally influenced almost everybody to abandon that option because they want the short-term benefit that goes along with not saying no to it. Could someone still consciously, through their free will, say no anyway and say, I don't care what the short-term discomfort is going to be. I'm going to accept that short-term discomfort, even if it means my life gets turned the fuck upside down in that short term.
The short-term discomfort has become a gun to the head.
Well, I think that it is still possible for people to just say no. It doesn't mean that you'll die. It means you may be poor for a while. You may suffer. You may not have food you may have to eat a limited diet of extremely cheap nutritional quality food, poor nutritional quality food. That is, you may have to go into pauperhood, being a pauper. Okay? You may have to go out and beg for shit on the street, maybe. I don't know. You may have to be dependent on charity. But every person can exercise the option to say, I'm involved in something that I know is evil and I'm not going to fucking support it anymore. You may have to suffer. Oh, fucking well. And it's not that I don't have compassion for people that have worked themselves into that condition, but guess what? They worked themselves into that condition, and it's their responsibility not to continue to do harm and work themselves the fuck out of that condition. It's my responsibility to help inspire them to do that because it's the correct and moral thing to do. It's not my responsibility to say no for them. They have to do that no matter what it does to themselves in the short term. I'm sorry, but that is the eternal truth of the matter, that people have to just buck the fuck up and acknowledge. Nature demands this of us. Good demands this of us. Evolution of our species demands this of us, and quite frankly, whether anybody's comfortable with the term or not is meaningless. God demands that of us. the creator of the universe, is demanding that modality of consciousness of human beings, and that is the controller of evolutionary development. And without fulfillment of that requirement, this species is going bye-bye, and the universe will not miss it. You think this hasn't happened on innumerable, countless other planets? Species like ours are here and gone because they refuse to make that decision. In probably every second that the universe exists, another species somewhere goes extinct. That's how bountiful with life the whole universe is. And if we think we're special and we're exempt from those conditions of nature, once again, it's delusional thought. So, profound points that you brought up, brother. I mean, like, really good stuff for people to ponder and think about. And I would suggest to everybody, really hear my answers in that one, because those were some good questions and a good call. So, Zachary, thank you.
You are a very real one. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one, man.
You too. Goodbye.
Let's hear from Kat Waters of One Great Work Network. Kat, welcome.
Hey, Mark.
How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of comment off of what Zachary just kind of said.
Sure.
And the idea, that like a whole bunch of people, like a lot of death, is going to happen for people that can't make the transition, and they just don't have what it takes to, I guess, clean themselves up. In a way, is kind of like, it's kind of denying natural law and saying that if I follow natural law, it's not going to like guide me or give me the feedback that I deserve, which is exactly like the way the man-made system that they have followed has done to them for so long. It's like, I mean, natural law, is the path and the way, that is going to give you the legitimate feedback, the true relationship, completely unlike the man-made system that's literally duped and robbed and, sleight of minded people for decades, which is, like how we, ended up here.
That's right. You know what, Kat? It's not even, it's not even a matter of faith, right? It's not, I was going to say it's almost like a leap of faith. It's not. We would see the result if we make the decision to step into the slipstream of natural law. We would actually see, if people did it in mass, do you know how quickly things will transform? They would transform such that there wouldn't be a lot of immediate short-term suffering if more people made that choice. The problem is so few people are making that choice that we're bringing upon ourselves a negative harvest of our souls and our consciousness, quite frankly.
Right. So the masses of people that would, possibly be the die-off that Zachary was talking about, it's kind of like, well, that's what you did when you didn't follow natural law.
And I'll go further. They'd bring a lot of good people into that mass die-off with them. And I still would not fear it. I may not be insulated from the physical consequences of the collapse that may be inevitably coming. Who knows? I'll do my best to survive it and navigate it, but you never know what the situation is going to be that could bring your demise physically. So am I going to live my life in fear of that? No way. Like, this system is so colossally evil, it must come down. It can come down in a controlled way by which we're simply bringing it down ourselves and saying, no more of this. I'm saying no, we're going to transform our society. We're going to have a system that is going to be able to bring about the support that people require for it not to be catastrophe and die off. That's possible. That's a choice, right? But if it does have to go all at once with no safety net, so be it. I don't fear that eventuality either, because that's what's necessary and required.
Right. See, that's like a denial of natural law, in that, people think that they're going to escape the consequences of dissing natural law for decades.
So long. This is what we've created. This is the bed we've made. And now, hey, humanity, we got to lie down in it. Oh, well. My attitude is not one of immense sorrow for that happening. My attitude is, if that's what has to come, that's what has to come. Oh, well. And it's not, that's not callous. That's looking at reality from a standpoint of objective reality and how it really works and accepting how it really works. That's it. That's all it is. It's, I've gotten my emotion out of the way from all of that, and I understand it from a very deep foundational perspective of this is how nature actually works, Exactly.
And all this jab injury and death was kind of brought on by the masses themselves, by that very, see, that's what I mean. It's not survival complying to the man-made, deviant system.
That's correct.
Not survival.
It's bringing on death from a species-wide perspective. Forget the individual. It's bringing on death, stagnation, death, and extinction in the aggregate, which is infinitely worse than any pain that could be experienced by the individual in the current moment. Infinitely worse.
Exactly. Well, thanks a lot, Mark.
Kat, great points. Thank you.
Okay, I'll see you soon.
You got it, folks. Check out Kat Waters on One Great Work Network, great content creator. Let's go back and hear from Fred Gingras. Let's see if he has worked out the audio issue. Fred, you're live.
Hello, can you hear me?
You're loud and clear, coming through. How you doing?
Awesome. I'm doing great, thank you. Really busy with the family.
Cool.
And the springtime cleaning and,
and
things like that.
I hear you.
So I wanted to bring because something that I found very important is to bring people back to their own nature. And in order to do that, I think that we must inform people about mind control.
Of course.
And the it's so wide, it's so big. And I started myself with the French people here in Canada. I started with the fear control. This is the one of the most important one, because I think these ones are because of the instinct,
right,
or the fear of the unknown,
right,
and the fear of change. I think it's a big one.
Yes.
I think our people are very complacent.
Absolutely. They fear scarcity. They fear lack. They want the carrot that is being dangled for them on the stick in front of them, but they're being let off of a cliff. They have to see the carrot for what it is. You're biting the poison pill that the Satanists and the dark occultists and the social engineers have put before you. It's not healthy. It's poison. It's not natural. It's unnatural. It's not leading us to where we want to go. It's leading us over the ravine. And we have to shed the fear of not going in that direction, because we've been conditioned to say, this is what's going to lead to our benefit in the moment. We have to have delayed gratification. Good requires delayed gratification. It's saying you have to stop worrying about what you want in the moment, which is Satanism, and start looking at what's good for the entirety of the entire species long term. And that requires being able to say, I don't want the immediate gratification that's going to come with going along with evil. I want the long-term gratification that's going to occur by delaying that immediate gratification and saying no to evil. And then nature's going to give me what I actually require long-term, and what the whole species requires long-term. That's not a process of faith, actually. A lot of people will go, that's some religious thinking. That's like faith. No, it's understanding how natural law works from a scientific perspective and making the choice to align one's behavior to it. That's all it is. Then this is why so many more people have to 100% grasp natural law and how it works. People still have a limited understanding of it. When their understanding flowers and becomes totally full, there is no question of what they have to do. There's no question of not fulfilling the requirements. You will organically do it if you really understand it. And that's the whole adage of the ancient Eastern tradition of not to do is not to know. To know, to claim to know, but not to do is not to know. If you're not doing the requirements, it means by definition that you don't really understand. You only believe that you understand. You only claim to understand. I cannot tell you how many people I know who are in this condition. I cannot tell you how many people in the freedom movement are in this condition. It's almost everybody who says they want freedom. The tiniest bit of people who say they want freedom are actively fulfilling the requirements to attain freedom. The vast majority of the people who say, I want freedom to manifest in the world, it's lip service, and they are not fulfilling the requirements. And because they are not fulfilling the requirements, it means by definition, really hear me everybody, what I'm saying here is profound. If you are not fulfilling the requirements that are necessary to the attainment of freedom, it means definitionally, by definition, that you do not yet know how freedom really works. And worse than that, worse than not knowing, if you actually do have an intellectual understanding of it and you're still not doing it, what it means is you really don't give a fuck. You don't care. You don't care certainly enough to move yourself into that state of action and fulfill the requirement of you. It means that either your mind is broken in some capacity and you don't really understand the requirement, or way worse, your heart is broken in some capacity and you just don't give enough of a fuck about it. And then there's a third thing. Maybe your guts are broken in some capacity and you're just a fucking coward. And you got to confront yourself and face the fact that you let fear consume you and you're just cowardly and you won't act because you let cowardice consume yourself, consume your soul. But think about those three things, right? How bad does that make an individual? If you don't want the universe to be perceiving you as someone who is actually a bad human being, you gotta fucking work yourself out of that fucking condition. This is not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. This is simple, logical progression of understanding of how something works in nature. It's not rocket science. Fred, we're going to be talking about this stuff on your show tomorrow, right? I'm being interviewed tomorrow? Okay.
Yes.
8 p.m.,
tomorrow
right? 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m., yeah, exactly. And you were talking about fear and things like that, and one thing came in thought, and it scarcity mind control. I think this one is one of the bigger.
That's right.
The biggest, because it's holding people back from growing because they're scared. So.
Yep. They're afraid of their own shadow in many cases. They're fearing the simplest things, like having to learn something new and challenging yourself a little bit from a mental perspective that you haven't just done that lifting. It's like it's weakness. Like Kat always talks about this. Kat Waters, her main thing is fitness, right? Like if you can't do even that simple mental lifting, how weak are you from that mental perspective? How undisciplined are you? It's like you've never picked up any appreciable amount of weight and just worked with it, you know? And I'm not even trying to claim that I'm some physical Adonis by any stretch of the imagination, but I at least try to keep myself somewhat fit because I'm trying to respect my physical vehicle of my body, which is required to do the work that I do, right? But you got to do some lifting here. You got to sit and say, if I don't understand what to do or how to do it, then I got to go to work here, be present, you know, apply some mental discipline, and then push myself to learn some new things. This is not difficult to do. Fearing that means that you're weak. Become strong. Stop being weak. Make a conscious decision not to be fucking weak anymore. Put yourself in the mindset of I'm going to do this no matter how much this beats me up and I'm uncomfortable. Oh well, I'm not telling you to put yourself through torture, right? That's you know, self-flagellation or, you know, some self-loathing bullshit, right? But you push yourself. Resistance to something is what builds muscle, right? There's no muscle building without resistance, right? You got to lift heavy stuff. You have to move things that are somewhat difficult to move. You have to lift weights, move things on pulleys, on levers, things like that, right? You're using resistance of gravity and of muscle tension to build. That's what the general concept of moving something from a condition of weakness to strength. That's what being, getting into some shape fitness-wise is all about. And that applies to the physical, that applies to the emotional, that applies to the mental, and it applies to the spiritual. I've been the weakest emotionally regarding that I know that I have work to do there, because my emotions get out of control because I see other people's weakness and see them not doing anything to really counteract that and improve it and make it better. And I get very angry about that easily. And I know that I need more patience with not immediately expressing blow-up type anger. I've really tried to work on it, actually, folks. I've really tried to exercise discipline in that regard to do that. And this is about as best as I can do with it, what you're seeing these days. I understand that perfectly. I mean, repeating a lot can be tiring sometimes. It's hell. It's hellish.
Yeah. And when you repeat and most people cannot understand it because they don't have the basic of the thing. So if you get into heavy hitting, like mind control, definitions and things like that, people get lost very easily.
You're correct.
They get scared.
That's why we need a plethora of teachers from all different perspectives, walks of life, levels of understanding. It's like we need a diversity of teachers of all of this information. It can't just be coming from a few people at the same level of thought. Like we need like stratification throughout all of society. Some people are going to take it from some people. They're going to go up to teachers that are operating at a little bit of a higher level mentally and spiritually, etc. And they'll keep going and going, like I don't have any problem if somebody is even going to teach this from a perspective of just getting people to understand the physical aspects of it, the poison in the food and water, the poison in so-called medicines, the lies of the mainstream media, the lies of the financial system, simple mind control techniques embedded in Hollywood and TV. Like any of those aspects will help and move people along, right? We need more people doing this. Not enough people are yet even doing things like that, let alone understanding and helping other people to understand objective morality and natural law. That comes even later in just waking up to the control system and why the control system has been able to gain this much of a foothold and an advantage over the average human being. You got to at least have somewhat of an idea of that before you even start to develop some of the deeper spiritual causal understanding from a causal perspective, from a perspective of the level of, causality when it comes to moral behavior. That's why we just need so many teachers teaching from such different perspectives, and we just don't have enough of them worldwide yet. We have to push for the movement for many, many, many more teachers of this information. And Fred, I appreciate your efforts and work in becoming one of them. That's why you're on One Great Work Network. And, I appreciate everybody's effort who is doing this at such a level. So thank you. And I'm looking forward to being on your show tomorrow night. Tell people about your show, your website, etc. Go ahead.
So I'm the host of the Libercast, and I'm going to have tomorrow at 8, I'm going to have Mark, and then I'm going to have Francesco Sani from the One Great Work Network on the 10th. And then I'm going to have Caroline Riley from Shadow Work Community. Nice. She's brilliant. And everybody, I'm on YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and Facebook. The main group is on Facebook, and then you have my personal page. It's Fred Gingras. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mark Facio, for your work. It's invaluable. Thank you so much.
Fred, thank you. And I apologize for the complete destruction of your last name. I apologize. My French is not so great.
Okay, no problem.
You got it. Have a great day.
Thank you. To you too.
Awesome call. Let's hear from AJK. AJK, you are live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome.
Hello, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Well, this is a great show. I just want to let everybody know that I took your How to Become the True Media last year.
Awesome.
And I learned a lot. I just want to let everybody know who's listening to this show today that Mark is an excellent instructor.
Thank you.
He is wonderfully patient with his students. However, if something happened to him during the day, you might hear about it.
I have been known to vent from time to time.
No, but that's fine. And I think what many of the people who do follow you and your students understand that your anger comes from a righteous passion, and that it's not ever directed toward anybody in
Correct.
general, other than the fact that it's the hubris of people and their behavior, basically.
Absolutely.
It's like, I know this person, right? This person can be better than they are, but they're not because of their freaking conditioning.
That's right.
Anyway, so I just wanted to say that one of the reasons I haven't put out any content yet is because I evidently had to do some more shadow work.
Okay.
I found myself, I'm a high-minded intellectual, and unfortunately, I don't get into my feelings enough. And when I started doing stuff, trying to create some content, I realized that I was being really heady. I wasn't connecting on, where people actually are. One of the great things about communication and correspondence is you have to meet people where they're at. And I realized, well, I'm not doing that. So, I've been working on my correspondence with others, trying not to overtalk people, trying not to change the subject, because I think that people can follow my train of thought, which they can't. Nobody can. So I've really learned a lot about compassion, and your shadow work videos, I've watched them over and over and over again, and they are brilliant.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for that. Also, I want to say that I'm going to have something out this summer. I'm working on something that I think will come across well, and I hope you all enjoy it. But I haven't set myself up yet as far as an online presence. But I just wanted to thank you and let everybody know that the skills that I learned in this class was amazing. I know more now than I knew when I took internet technology back, 10, 20 years ago. He taught me more in those 23 weeks than I could have learned in 3 years of going to college, a decade ago.
Thank you. That's a wonderful testimonial. I really appreciate that.
And I want to let you know that it's worth every penny. And the beauty of it is he has a pre-class and an after-class where you can get to talk to him and ask him questions and everything. And I just want to let everybody know that it's worth every freaking cent. And also, I just wanted to ask you on the topic that you were talking about, on that Zachary and Mr. Fred were discussing regarding the mind control. One of the interesting things that I've read recently, of course, is Edward Bernays' propaganda book.
Oh yeah.
And I'm getting into the epigenetics, which is very important. You're very right, because it talks about the human condition.
That's right.
And yeah. And
while you're on that topic for 1 second, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought. I'll let you continue. But I am going to just let people know that I fully intend at the very beginning of next year, my first topic, I unfortunately don't have the time, even in like 3 shows and the 2 now remaining, to do this to the extent that I really want to do it. I will be presenting starting in January of 2024, when the first episode of What on Earth is Happening for next season comes out. I'm going to do a extended version of the Unholy Feminine presentation on this show. And it will probably take 6 to 8 shows for how I'm going to extend and enhance that presentation and re-deliver it in extreme depth on what on earth is happening, because I find that this is a dynamic that is very much not understood. Dealing with epigenetics, specifically that topic, it's very, very, very misunderstood and not grasped fully. And I am going to hammer the understanding of that presentation, which I feel is one of my most important presentations, into my viewing audience starting next year. That's going to be probably the first 6 to 8 episodes of What on Earth is Happening for next season, more likely than not. So I just wanted to say, regarding epigenetics, I feel that's the presentation that I delved into that the most extensively, and I'm going to do that even more starting next season. So continue, AJ.
Well, thank you, Mark. I'm looking forward to that. But what I was saying is the thing regarding propaganda is that propaganda is a tool of mind control. They're not one and the same. It's
right.
a tool of it.
Yes.
And what I find really interesting is that, you can go on YouTube, you can go on Facebook, you can go on Telegram especially, and see all these really short posts of little blurbs of people saying, oh, this is going on and this is going on, without any factual things to back it up.
Right.
It's more like, well, this is a glittering generality and I'm in a card stack because I don't like this guy. And a lot of people don't understand that, there are 5, there's the bandwagon, the plain folks, the card stacking, where you don't have all the facts.
Right.
Because propaganda only has 3 rules. It wants to tell you how to think, it wants to sell you something, or it wants you to feel something.
Right.
And so those are the things that you have to be on guard as a sovereign person, a person that's within natural law, who has used the trivium and has the critical thinking skills and the logic within you to say, wait a minute, this isn't giving me all the information. I'm not going to run with it.
Right.
And I find that a lot of people, especially with TikTok, I hate that app, that they don't have the attention span
to even take in that information.
More than 20 minutes.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Just to get the grammar under their belt. You got to get the grammar first before you even interpret it or act on it.
Well, I think that those, understanding that propaganda is a tool regarding the human condition, and that the trivium and the grammar are so important, that I'm going to be starting way back at the basics regarding natural law and how that works. And I think that maybe I'll have a different perspective that people can look at, because, well, hopefully, I can just say hopefully. But I just wanted to thank you and
it's always
ask you what you thought about being able to, because you've already covered the propaganda stuff so well.
Sure.
I was wondering if you had any other, because I have your. Could you direct me to something other that would help me?
I think you're heading in the right direction regarding epigenetics. I think this is something that people really have to study further to understand. They're moving into the realm where they're using the techniques, as you're saying that propaganda rightly is, a technique of mind control, an implementation, a tool of it, an implement of it, to actually change genetic conditions in humanity. And this is what I call epigenetics. So
yes, exactly.
Epigenetics is changing the gene expression. Epigenetics is being able to cull characteristics out of the population by getting the people in such a state of mind that they actually cull those characteristics and or people out of the human gene pool themselves. The social engineers don't have to do it. They implant the thoughts into the aggregate of society and have them actually cull the herd for them. And or cull characteristics out of the quote herd of cattle for them. That's how sinister it's going. So I would say,
and the needlecraft was a great example of that.
Right. The understanding of not only epigenetics, but the term that I have personally coined, epi-eugenics, not standard physical eugenics, but epi-eugenics, to go beyond the standard techniques of eugenics, to implement it from the perspective of epigenetics applied to eugenics, which I don't even call eugenics in my work. I call it dysgenics. Eu is the Greek prefix meaning good. Eugenes means good genes, good breeding, good outcomes of expressions and characteristics and behaviors. That's not what they're breeding. They're breeding dysgenics. So it would really be more properly called epidysgenics, is what the social engineers are actually creating in our society. And that's what I feel people have to start garnering a better understanding of. The problem is there's not much source material written on it from a scholarly perspective, because most people haven't even understood that that's what the social engineers are doing, let alone described it in texts or videos, etc. I think my work has actually been cutting edge and leading in that respect, and that's why I feel like I need to go back and re-explain it in much deeper detail and depth starting next season of What on Earth is Happening. So I think you're on the right track, and that's the direction that I would say, if you're fully interested in those topics, to go in. And I think it's also a good thing, before I let you go, that you are refining your techniques, that you're refining the way that you speak out and influence. If you did listen back to an attempt to do something and you weren't happy with it, it's always good to go ahead and try to refine that technique. And as you said, like, try to meet people where they are at. And I would just say, don't wait to get it fully perfect. Get it to the point where you're comfortable and you feel it's good, then put it out, and you could refine that more and more as you go. So I'm really, really glad that you are doing that work, and you really got a lot of positive value out of the enrollment and attendance of the How to Become the True Media seminar last year. And thank you for your testimonial to that effect.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Have a blessed day.
You too. All right. Let's hear from Tanya. Tanya, you are live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark. This is Tanya Ingram. I'm on your Facebook friends list.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad.
I took your seminar last year here. I plan on trying to take it again. I wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like coming out of the hypnosis, and like how the want to be a part of this community and to get the information out there can sometimes feel a little bit overwhelming. I know, because I'm still in that phase. Like, right. I'm doing my best to get started, but I think that, like, it can be a little bit overwhelming at first, because you're hearing, as you're taking in all this information, and many of us are really in an accelerated rate right now, where we're just getting piles of information. Right. And you're hearing these people talk so eloquently, and you're seeing these videos that are so well done, and it can really feel like it's, like crap. Like, how am I gonna,
You mean like your own contribution is not going to be good enough or heard, or something? Yeah, I would say you really have to just simply let those feelings go and not dwell on them, and not believe that it's not going to be good enough. Contributing your voice and your knowledge is going to be good enough, believe me. Even if it's like at a low level at first, like from a tech perspective or a production perspective. Go back and listen to episode 1 of What on Earth is Happening compared to like shows that I do today. Of course I've improved.
Oh, I've heard the difference, for sure. I've heard the difference. I apologize for interrupting you.
No, it's okay.
I wanted to say, I am getting over that hump now. What I did, and this is, maybe this will help somebody else out. What I did was I found something I really loved, and so I just had fun using the technology first. So I'm sure you've seen my hula hooping videos for Tanya's hula hooping. And
I don't believe that I have, but that's okay.
Oh, no, that's fine. So I started with something that I really love and I really enjoy. With the hula hooping.
That was like instructional type stuff?
No, just fun, creative, artistic dance and hula hooping, and just having fun with it.
Just a hobby and interest, right? Okay.
Right. And then what I did was I started to expand on that technologically, and I started to understand other things. And so while I'm still perfecting, my skills, what I decided to do was create a YouTube channel to compile all the information that I've come across on TikTok and other, channels and places, where, like just a bunch of different, spiritual leaders and content creators and stuff like that, and just put all that information in one place so that other people can access it.
If they follow you, they'll find that information. Right. That's not a bad idea to start. That's a good place to start, and then move on into your own material creation, your own media creation. But if people want to simply help people to see a lot of the other content that has been created by important content creators, I think that's a perfectly acceptable way of doing something.
Right, and that way I'm at least doing something. I'm not just sitting here stagnant while I'm figuring all of it out, and two, like I have started, a little bit of my own content, but, I don't want people to give up. I know that there were times where when I first got started, you hear, so many intellectual, intelligent people, like, yourself or my friend Angela there, AJK. You guys are so smart. And, I'm intelligent too, but I think a little bit differently. And so, it's just so important not to become like overwhelmed by that, and just to come at it from the level that you're at, and just be okay with being on that level. Do you know what I mean? And sharing the information from
I
that
fully hear you, and I agree. And that's a healthy approach to take when it comes to it. Don't try to be the second Mark Passio. Be the first you. That's it. That's all you have to do. You have to just go out there, be yourself, tell the truth to people, put the information before them, and then you've gone out and done what's required. If everybody did that, we'd already be out of this situation,
Right. And, just do it with an open heart and be creative. Try to have fun with it whenever you can. And if you have a gift to utilize, utilize it. You know what I mean? At least hopefully that helps somebody. I've come to the point where I've worked through that, and you're probably going to be hearing from me at some point about wanting to join the, your One Great Work Network, because I definitely want to be on there. I'm not 100% sure on what your guidelines are. I wanted to ask you about that.
There are no hard and fast guidelines. It's I will look at people's work and just say, is this a good contribution to the understanding of what needs to be understood to rectify the situation? Is the person really getting into the necessary topics, explaining them well, taking it seriously, putting work out there, reaching people, talking about morality, talking about natural law, and then I'll make them an offer to come on board the network, and if they want to be onboarded, we'll do that. That's just basically how it works. Yeah.
Oh, I apologize.
No,
I
it's
didn't
okay.
mean to interrupt you. How do we contact you about that? Like, what do we do?
Some people will send me some of their work. They'll send me links to like their main website or something like that. And then other people, they never contacted me. I contact them. I get the contact information from their website or social media and then make the offer to them to come on the network. So some people have asked me to come on. I've looked at their work and made a decision. Some people I've reached out to on my own and invited them. So it really has to do with the content. And, if I encounter it, or if somebody sends it to me to look at and I decide it's a good fit, it's basically I'm the curator of the network.
Oh, great. So can we send you the stuff on Telegram, or do you
anywhere where you can reach me,
Facebook?
and anywhere where you can reach me, communications wise, is fine to shoot me a link, and I will definitely look into it and make a decision as to whether it's a good fit.
Oh, cool. All right. So, but I don't have to be like perfect in order to, I don't have to have like a giant audience or anything.
No, this has nothing to do with reach of followers. This has to do with quality of content. That's it. So, there are people who I've reached out to because I thought they have good quality content, and they've refuse to be on. They don't want to, actually publish on this platform. So not everybody will even accept the invitation sometimes. So it has nothing to do with how many followers anybody has. I don't even look at that. I look at the content, and is this the kind of content I want on One Great Work Network? And some people really,
on that.
Yeah, you got it. Some people really work out. Some people don't work out. A couple of content creators we've let go from the network because we've diverged or there's been issues. And I don't hold that in a begrudging way against anybody. It's just like if it works out and people want to continue on the network and their content is quality, we'll continue having them on. If it doesn't and they go in a different direction or something where there's too much drama, we may even let people go. So it's like it can be growing or shrinking at any given time, but in general, we're steadily growing with content creators. And again, those are the qualifications that I look at. It's about the quality of the content of the material, what it's saying, what it's communicating. Don't worry about how many people are following you on any given social media platform or your own website or anything like that. That's not what I consider.
See, that's so important to me because I really wanted that clarification. I wasn't sure how much of a following I had to have before I could even, apply or even try. So actually that motivates me even more. I do want to mention the YouTube channel that I have just real quick.
Sure.
It's Trinity. It's Trinity Awakening. I only have 10 subscribers, you guys. So if you could get on there and support me, that would be awesome.
Cool.
And thank you so much, Mark, for taking the time to talk to me today.
I
really appreciate you and everything that you do. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks for the call. Have a great one. Awesome. We have some great callers today, I have to say. Let's hear from Dominic. Dominic, you are live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome to the show.
Can you hear me?
Yes, coming through loud and clear.
Okay, so at the beginning of this show, you say that you want to hear from people about what they are doing.
Yes.
So, I'm listening to your materials for a few years, and
okay.
I must say that very quickly I knew that I need to do content about this information. When you were saying that we need content creators, it was kind of obvious for me that I need to do it.
Right.
And I feel that it's, of course, it's for people, but it's also it's for truth,
right.
Like you're saying often, is service for truth. And it's really simple to understand. And truth is so simple that in a weird way became the hardest thing to understand for a common person.
Right.
Because it's like it's too simple.
Right.
It's too simple to understand.
They've talked themselves out of it. The mind chatter that goes through them every day has literally talked them out of a simple understanding of the truth. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's too simple, and that's why we cannot understand it, because yes, we have this chatter in our minds, because there is many things going on, and we think that there is many things going on, and that's why we cannot connect with this very simple thing, very simple to understand. So I'm doing content for something about 3 years, and I'm doing content in Polish language because I'm from Poland.
Okay.
And so yes, what I can say also, it's the main kind of a problem, because you also said at the beginning of the show what problems we have with creating content, something
right.
like that. So the problem for me is audience. I must say that I'm doing materials, content, like I said, maybe 3 years, and I did over 200 videos already, and I don't have a big audience.
Right.
I think I have really small audience. So this is interesting thing. Well, it can be problem not only for me. Maybe this is something which you can say something about.
Great question. And I hear this from many content creators is I'm not getting traction. My audience isn't growing. So one of the things is you do have to work a social media presence. Unfortunately, I don't really spend a lot of my time on social media, but a lot of people will discover you there. So you have to diversify social media, and you have to be on a lot of different platforms. You have to be on platforms other than just YouTube. You definitely need a website. You definitely need a website where all of your material is at that you could constantly send people to. I personally don't recommend just using YouTube as a method because you're not going to be easily found there. The algorithms are going to shadow ban you, and probably very quickly. So you need to be able to push things through your own platforms, and you need to be able to funnel people from your social media to your own platform. Okay, so having a website as the central repository clearinghouse for your information is essential. Secondarily to that, you have to diversify social media. You got to be on just about every social media platform that you can find, set up accounts on all of them, and send people to the material on your own site from social media. That is how you're going to steadily grow an audience. It's not going to jump from like 200 people to 200,000 people in a year. Okay, it's going to take far longer than that, right? I still don't even have 200,000 followers. I passed the 100,000 follower mark, and I'm probably around close to 150,000 on just YouTube, right? You count all other social media platforms, it's certainly more than that combined, when you take it all into account together. But, there's one popular celebrity has 10 million followers, 10 million subscribers. Forget it. Beyond that, if you get into super popular people and sports figures and things like that, it's like 50 million subscribers. It's like there is no comparison when it comes to popularity of material, right? Most people are looking at vapid crap that has nothing to do with anything. It's just pure entertainment, pure fantasy, pure occupying their time, in silly ways, which is what entertainment generally is. I get into some entertainment stuff myself. I have to somehow take my mind away from this. If you spend it on this 24/7, you will not be a balanced human being. So I'm not putting down the idea of entertainment, period, but the majority of it is, quite frankly, unimportant, vapid crap. And that gets a lot of attention because this is what people are spending their time doing in general, right? Just keep moving forward with it and keep promoting from social media to a central repository where all of your information is at. One of the mistakes that I think a lot of content creators make is they only depend on some video sharing service to get their information out to the public. That's a mistake. Do not just depend on YouTube or just Odyssey or just BitChute or just Rockfin or just whatever, right? You have to, number one, diversify there in content sharing. So have it on a bunch of different platforms, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, YouTube, etc. Diversify the actual content in different places, right? Then have a bunch of different social media presences. I show people my, when I'm out sometimes, they'll be like, I don't have any social media. I want to remain private. I'm like, well, Let me show you my social media. And I take my phone and I fling through a list of all the social media platforms just listed as bookmarks in my phone, right? And you're like, holy shit, you're on all of those platforms? I'm like, yeah. How do you think you're going to get the information out to people? You're just going to like put your website on a card and leave it in a couple stores? You know, I'll leave my card in a bookstore and I'll have 10 million followers. You have to put yourself out there. It's just like anything else. If you're going to want to be have a lot of friends, you have to put yourself out there and have a social presence. You can't be a person who is just going to sequester themselves and become a recluse. You know, you can't be a hermit, right? The hermit part of this is when you're learning, right? Then shelter yourself, be a hermit, sit in your room, do nothing but read until you have a firm understanding of everything that's going on, right? I went through that period when I was young. I was a hermit for quite a few years, where I was just devouring all of this information nonstop. At some point, you have to let that part trail off, and you have to ramp up being social. And believe me, I wouldn't say I'm an introvert. I'm certainly more extroverted than I am introverted, but I don't necessarily like many people. Let's just put it that way, right? I have some misanthropic qualities by my own admission, right? Because imagine the totality of what I've come to understand, and then imagine the average dolt on the street or in a pub. I don't necessarily love putting myself out into a social situation. And guess what? It's a very, very similar reflection from reality out on the street or in a pub to social media. It's about the same quality of consciousness out there. But you have to do it. You have to put yourself out there in a social capacity to grow your information, to grow attraction to your information. If you don't put yourself out there, it can't happen. Social media is important in that regard. Don't get locked up in the drama. Don't get locked up in just posting individual messages and becoming a keyboard commando. Push people to your platform. That's how social media can be a tool, okay? That's my recommendation, and I wish you all the best with that, Dominic. For now, that's all the time we have on this edition of What on Earth is Happening, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, government is slavery, and we'll see you right here, same time and place next week.